new Wilson Combat EDC X9 is an alloy-framed compact double-stack 9mm that's based on the 1911. But when you deviate from the original 1911 frame material, barrel length, and caliber, and then completely redesign the grip dimensions and remove the grip safety, what you end up with is not simply another 1911. It's more like what would happen if you gave John Moses Browning some 21st century manufacturing equipment and asked him to go build a Glock 19. Even though I like 1911s, it's been a while since I spent any serious time shooting one, so I think the EDC X9 is pretty good, but that probably doesn't mean a whole lot coming from me. Fortunately, you don't have to take my word for it. I was able to try out the EDC X9 a few weeks ago when I met up with John Johnston for a day at the range. John is the host of Ballistic Radio, and Wilson Combat happens to be one of his sponsors. John has been evaluating a pre-production sample of this pistol for the last few months, and he had some insights to share.
As far as performance goes, the main thing that I am seeing out of the EDC X9 is that I am able to shoot it as if it were a much larger gun. By getting rid of the grip safety, what it allows you to do is get higher on the gun so that you can shoot it better, it's more controllable, is in general just kind of more pleasant to work with, especially at speed. If you're looking for a gun that fits inside of this package, you're looking at stuff like a Glock 19 or a SIG P320 or somewhere in that range. You've got this size package, and the Wilson Combat EDC X9 fits into that G19 size package and performs better, period. And to get a G19 or a 320 that works as well as this does, you have to work on it. And once you start adding these parts, like a match grade barrel that's professionally fit to get the 1.5 inch at 25-yard accuracy guarantee that this thing comes with, to get the recoil characteristics, you're starting to add like comps. To get the grip ergonomics, you're stippling the gun and you're recontouring it and reprofiling it. That starts to cost money, and then you see people running around with $2,000 or $3,000 Glocks, and this comes with all the function of those right out of the box.
The comparison to the Glock 19 is no exaggeration. It's tough to appreciate just how compact the EDC X9 is until you handle it in person. Fully loaded with 16 rounds, it's only 5 ounces heavier than the Glock and roughly the same size in all dimensions. Compared to a 9mm lightweight Commander 1911, the EDC X9 is smaller and still has 6 more rounds of ammo on board and far superior ergonomics.
The grip reminds me a lot of like a high power grip. So like a Browning high power grip, as far as it's very ergonomic, it fits really well in the hand. It's got the best parts of the 1911 as far as the sliding trigger, a really well designed manual safety inside of a very small package as far as a grip that's really easy to conceal. It's kind of like a high power that has had the stuff that makes high powers not fun taken off of it. So once we're done today, I'll have about 3,000 rounds through it. So far, it has been extremely reliable. Actually reliable with ammo that won't work in other guns, like Glocks that I have, that the round is loaded weird or it's too light of a load. This thing will feed fine, but it also works really well with, standard carry loads like 124 plus P Gold Dot or HST or whatever. So it's been reliable off of a wide spectrum of bullet weights, velocities, and profiles. So I've been really impressed so far.
As of this week, John says he's got about 4,500 rounds through this gun, still with no malfunctions. Traditional 9mm 1911s have a reputation for being picky and high maintenance, but Wilson seems to have eliminated a lot of those issues by designing the EDC X9 from the ground up to reliably feed the 9mm cartridge. Like John said earlier, the EDC X9 comes with a 1.5 inch accuracy guarantee at 25 yards. Now that's using a ransom machine rest, but we wanted to see what we could do with a normal bench rest and some sandbags. We fired a few 5-round groups that were about 2.5 inches, and then we'd have like 3 of the 5 rounds within an inch or an inch and a half. That usually means the 2 flyers are human error, so I have no doubt the gun is capable of shooting an inch and a half. From a more practical standpoint, having a good 1911 style single action trigger really helps when you need to take a shot at longer distance. The front sight is a little wider than either John or I prefer, and I think that makes it tough to get a clean sight picture on smaller targets, but really that just comes down to personal preference. It's not any wider than the stock front sight on most compact pistols. The base price is $28.95. To be completely honest, I kinda hate this question, but it always comes up anytime we talk about a gun with a 4-digit price tag, so I'm gonna let John answer it this time.
So why does somebody need a $2,900 gun? You don't. Period. You don't. You really don't need much more than a Ruger P89. You know, that'll work fine most of the time. It launches the same bullets. If we were only going on need, we'd all be driving around like Kias, like $10,000 Kias that are not fun to drive, are not comfortable to drive, but they get us to point A to point B. So when people start talking about, well, I could buy 5 Glocks for the cost of this. Well, yeah, the guy that buys the Corvette could buy 7 Kias. He's not gonna drive the other 6 at the same time, and it's not gonna perform the same way the Corvette does. So if it makes you happy and you can afford it, then do it. If you can't afford it or it doesn't make you happy, then don't do it. It's really, really that easy.